I welcome you all to the webinar being co-hosted with AGFTC. As you all are aware that Form 10B and Form 10BB have been made applicable from the current year, and the ITR-7 has also undergone drastic changes. So we have our own expert, our past president of both the associations, for this very important topic, where he will be dissecting and demystifying the form number 10B, 10BB and ITR-7 for us. Sir, this topic is the most burning topic for us. Now only 14 days are left, and I'm sure hardly people have filed couple of forms only, and there are thousands of forms to be filed. So your lecture and seminar is going to be very important. I would like to ask Shri Ravi Shah, President of AGFTC, to give his welcome address. Before you give, sir, I would like to tell that this webinar is live on YouTube also. So it can be watched simultaneously at YouTube also.
Thank you. Jai Shri Krishna. I welcome today's learned faculty, president of both the August organization, young, dynamic, doctor, advocate, Dhruven V. Shah. Since a couple of days, we are working on 10B and 10BB, and we are witnessing that the forms are designed in such a way that it is very difficult for us to file, even to collect the data. And considering the immense importance of the topic, both the organizations have organized the program. We have also yesterday filed the representation for deferment of the topic, say Form 10 and 10BB. But let's see what happens, because government is not what we can say is not listening the representation from the tax bodies, but still we are hopeful. Etlu ચોક્કસ કહીશ કે કદાચ government is taking the trust and NGO as a professional bodies, which is, I think, Dhruven will take care of all the story in his lecture. But in the last 14 or 15 days time, આટલા બધા 100 participants ne reach કરી અને આપણે live થયા છે. So it is the need of hour, and I welcome all the participants of both organization and Dhruven bhai for this lecture, and wish you all happy learning. Thank you.
I would like to now invite CA Chetan Gajjar to introduce our today's esteemed faculty.
આશીષ ભાઈ, એક જ મિનિટ, આપણે એક મેસેજ ડ્રાફ્ટ કરી દો ને કે આપણે 100 પાર્ટિસિપન્ટ થઈ ગયા છે ને, તો બધા જ ગ્રુપમાં બીજા બધા જે લોકો લોગિન થઈ નથી શકતા એ બધા લોકો YouTube લાઈવ જોઈ લે. એક મેસેજ ડ્રાફ્ટ કરી દઈએ આપણે.
હું કરી દઉં છું, એક મિનિટ.
We are sharing the message when the webinar starts. We are sharing the message.
Yes. Please continue.
Yes. CA Chetan ji, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
Yes, I would like you to introduce today's extreme faculty.
Yes, it's my privilege, sir. Thank you. Today, this task of introduction, our speaker is a great privilege. I know this one is difficult, but the thought that he is a man of virtue and simplicity, I feel elated to introduce him to everyone today. Advocate Dr. Dhruven Shah has been associated with direct, indirect, and trust matters for the last 22 years, and the founder and mentor of DV Shah & Company, a legal tax and corporate advisory firm at Ahmedabad. Mr. Shah is become with gold medalist is a study of legal issue and NGOs of Gujarat. He has been the president of Apex body, All Gujarat Federation of Tax Consultants, and one of the oldest bar association Income Tax Bar Association, Ahmedabad. Presently, he is a member of Indirect Tax Committee at Chamber of Commerce and Industries and co-opted member at All India Federation of Tax Practitioners. Mr. Shah was faculty at GPSC, UPSC and Diploma in Taxation courses at Gujarat University and served Dalia Institute of Management as visiting faculty. Mr. Shah has appeared regularly for live interviews, debate shows, programs at various TV channels and radio since 2010. He has contributed papers and delivered lectures at various forms at various professional associations. Also contributed articles in tax journals and tax reports. At present, he has been serving many prestigious trusts as advisory board member. He is a member of the board of governance of Indus University, Ahmedabad. Recently, he has been honored as Gauravansali Gujarati 2023 by Viswa Gujarati Samaj. Today, Mr. Shah will be sharing his insight knowledge on trust form filing. Get ready to be inspired, challenged, and empowered to take action. Dear all members, please join me in giving a warm welcome to the exceptional advocate Dr. Dhruven Shah. Thank you.
Sir, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. President. Today's webinar on the very critical and typical subject, as you definitely aware about the ongoing recent changes of the audit report in form number 10B and 10BB, and as well as the recent changes in ITR-7. First of all, let me take outside the congratulations to both of the association, All Gujarat Federation of Tax Consultant, Visionary President CA Ravi Shah, and Vibrant President CA Ashish Tekani of Income Tax Bar Association, who has given me the responsibility to analyze the critical provisions of the taxation of charitable trust, and more particularly today's discussions on about the filing of ITR-7 as well as filing of audit report in form number 10B and BB. So before going into the directly subject, I would like to draw attention on some recent changes since last 4 or 5 years. You must be aware, I am not going to deal with each and every changes. However, the scenario of the taxation of public charitable trust is nowadays is on the very critical and very difficult to understand and to comply the statutory compliances in respect to form number 9A, then form number 10, then form number 10B, then form number 10BB, and then prescribed form of ITR-7. So since 2016 onwards, I must say that the financial year 15-16, there are lots of changes in the taxation or the amendment of in the provision, more particularly dealing with section 11, 12, 13, section 80G, then section 1023C, section 164 and then 115. In entire Income Tax Act, rarely the levy of taxation and the structure of taxation deal with only a 11 section. And you may be surprised to know this 11 section now becomes a draconian section nowadays. And it is very difficult for the professional, I must say professional, to understand the recent changes in the taxation of the public charitable trust. Now we are going with the directly on the PowerPoint presentation. I'm not taking too much time on the preamble of or some certain recent amendment and provision. However, I have tried to incorporate all the recent provisions during my PowerPoint presentation whenever and wherever it is applicable. And more particularly, we are dealing with at present audit report in form number 10B and 10BB, and thereafter ITR-7. As many official member is also participating at present. So this present seminar with English as well as some in Gujarati. So we covering both the languages for the better understand of the members of the Mofusal area. I also thank and express my gratitude the managing committee of the both association as well as the chairman of the study circle meeting and the chairman of the various committee who is conducting this webinar and reach out with the across the all members throughout the Gujarat. I think, is it visible, Mr. Siddhar?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Fine, okay. Now, let us first understand which are the sections that corresponding for the taxation of the public charitable trust, because these are the basic. I am not deal with the interpretation of the section, but I'm highlighting that section 215, that's the definition of charitable purpose that we are aware. Section 1023C, exemption from income for approved university. Friends, whenever we are talking about the approval, then it is always in connection with the institutions, and that's fall under section 1023C. And when we are talking about the granting or the registrations, then it's always be a public charitable trust. Section 11, we all are aware about the section 11, that's income from property held for the charitable or the religious purposes, the application of fund and everything that covered by section 11. Various subsections are there. We are taking when we are moving ahead. Section 12, that is about talks about the income from the voluntary contribution of trust. 12 AA and AB, now it is AB because the new procedure we are aware about, and there are so many teething problem on section 12 AB. I will also explain some of the highlighting points to find out the remedial action for the granting of registration in 12 AB. One more window for the taxpayers for the resolving the issues in registration of 12 AB, and the last date is 30th September. So I will also explain for 5 minutes on that part. Section 30 talks about that section 11 not to apply in certain cases. This entire section talks about the disallowances and certain restrictions on the application of income, which is corresponding in section 11. And section 115 TD, that's a tax on accredited income. What do you mean by accredited income and how to levy of tax? We will also take this matter on the PowerPoint presentation. Now moving ahead, I'm not taking the routine like time for the routine compliances of ITR, but directly deal with the trust so far as is concerned. Then the due date form, you are aware that form number 10BD and B, the statement of donation, the last date was 31st May 2023, and thereafter extended 1 month, 31st July for the ITR-7 non-audit, 31st August for 9A, that has also been extended. Form number 10, 31st August, that has also been extended. 30th September audit report with the charity commissioner. This due date, most of that we are not aware about the Bombay Public Trust Act due date. because every chartered accountant, it is the responsibility of chartered accountant to furnish a audit report of public charitable trust before the competent authority on or before 30th September 2023. My dear friend, this may so happen that due date extended for ITR or maybe the audit report, but the due date under the Bombay Public Trust Act and now in Gujarat, it's a Gujarat Public Trust Act, furnishing a audit report before the office of the charity commissioner, that always 30th September 20, that is always 30th September, and for financial year 2022 and 23, it is 30th September 2023. ITR-7 that you are aware about in case of trust applicable to 10B or BB, that's 31st October, and 30th September for the audit under income tax form 10B and 10BB. So these are the various dates corresponding with the taxation of the public charitable trust. Whenever I am using the trust, that includes the institutions, hospital, university, temples, and everything. For better understanding, I'm using the word charitable trusts. Now moving ahead and coming on the directly subject matter of form number 10B and filing of 10BB. This is the webinar, and there's only one way communication with all of you. I am aware that so many concerns about your form number 10B and BB and ITR-7. We will definitely take up this matter end of our PowerPoint presentation. So filing of form number 10B and 10BB.
Sir,
Yes.
I would like to inform all the participants that if they have any query, they can put in the chat box. And after the session, we will be having a special, after the end of presentation, we will be having a special question answers also for 15 minutes, where we will be taking up the questions which are there in the chat box.
Fine. Now we are aware about the audit report in form number 10B, very easiest form in earlier years, and form of 2 or 3 pages, and most of the sections is not applicable, and we are very comfortable and very used to with the filing of form number 10B for the earlier years, and also filling in the same way of the philanthropic activity as good as the charitable trust are doing in that way. So nowadays it's the days gone of the page of 2 or 3 pages. Now the pages you must definitely reconfirm the everything about the complexity and sections and schedules and pages after my due deliberations with form number 10B and 10BB. So before that, form number 10B, that's particularly for the public charitable trust, and form number 10BB that we are very much aware about for the section 1023C. Now from this year, I'm talking about the financial year 2022 and 23 and assessment year 23 and 24. Now this section 1023C and the trust register under section 12AA or 12AB. Now both are supposed to require their filing of the audit in prescribed form, either in form number 10B or 10BB. Earlier it was that the form number 10BB is exclusively for those institutions fall under section 1023C, and earlier form number 10B that for those who have obtained a form number 12AA or 12A. In that context, these forms were used earlier to assessment year 23-24. Now, what is the present scenario in that case? Now, trusts are exempted under section 11 and 12 that you all are aware that 2 sections corresponding with the computations of the levy of tax in case of a public charitable trust. This section 11 and 12 of income tax are required to meet certain conditions. One of which that auditing of their accounts under section 12A1B. this section is very important because certain in instances I have been observed that chartered accountants and professionals are quoting a audit section of 44 AB sometimes, or maybe section 11, but the correct section is 12A1B. That is the correct section for the audit report of trust in either in form number 10B or maybe a 10BB. Similar, the 10th proviso to section 1023C requires institutions approved under that clause to have their accounts audited. See, we are talking about the public charitable trust that fall under section 12A, 12AA or 12AB that talks about section 11 and 12. If I am talking about the institutions that falls under the 10th proviso of section 1023C, where the income exceeding the maximum amount not chargeable to tax are required to get their accounts audited. ઘણી વખત નાના ટ્રસ્ટોની આવક માત્ર 70,000 રૂપિયા હોય કે 50,000 રૂપિયા હોય તો એનું ઓડિટ કરાવવું પડે કે કેમ, એવો પ્રશ્ન આવતો હતો. અને 2,50,000 ની નીચે હોય તો એમનું ઓડિટ કરાવવું પડે કે કેમ. સી અંડર એની અધર લો માં આપણે ઓડિટ કરાવતા હોય તો ડેફિનેટલી અંડર એની અધર લો એટલે કે ગુજરાત પબ્લિક ટ્રસ્ટ એક્ટ પ્રમાણે આપણે ઓડિટ કરાવવું જ જોઈએ. બટ ઇન ધેટ કેસ the levy of taxation arising where nowadays it's not 2,50,000. I am also coming and deal with this maximum marginal rate, whereas the audit is required to furnish where the income exceeding the maximum amount not chargeable to tax without giving the effect of section 11 and 12. Correct? Now, this section governs by rule that we are very much aware, and rule 16cc that deal with section 1023c, and rule 17b that deal with section 11 and 12 of income tax. Now, income tax rule 1962 have been substituted with effect from 1st April 2023, meaning thereby this entire amendment in form number 16cc and 17b governed by these two rules. CBDT has notified the new audit report in form number 10b and 10bb. This is the first year for the charitable trust that we are going to file form number 10b and 10bb, furnished by charitable or religious trust. See, charitable or religious, this may also, like sometimes this question raised about the religious, particular religious trust as if temple or maybe a Mahadev or maybe some mandir, that also fall under the charitable and governed by section 11 and 12. That is not governed by other section, but you mean to say the trust either religious or not, both governed by section 11 and 12. And other institution, as I told, that institution always fall and deal with section 1023c. Wide notification number 7/2023 dated 21st February 2023. I'm very much surprised that the utility of form number 10b and 10bb populated in month of August and September, early first week of September, and in August they have notified this form number 10b and 10bb in early of before the commencement of the year 2324, means 21st February 2023. Now, in spite of a 6 month or 8 month, a reasonable time, more than reasonable time already lapsed, still not the proper utility or the schema or the software provider not yet provided the complete forms of 10b, 10bb and ITR-7. Yes, some of the that vendor has provided started form number 7 and then utility of form number 10b and 10bb. But it is very much surprised that government also needed more than 6 to 8 months for the bringing out the notification in budget Finance Act 2022, and that too after completion of entire one financial year, and there more than another 6 months has already lapsed for the populating the utility and schema. So in that case, the task and responsibility is upon now chartered accountant to furnish a audit report in form number 10B and BB in span of a 20 or 30 days. How is it possible that I am raising questions to all learned participants joined in this webinar? How is it possible for the one chartered accountant to handle this affair, and that too in a span of a 20 or 30 days? You must definitely endorse my views after completion of this presentation. As per the amended rules, common forms have been prescribed for the organization registered under section 12AB and organization approved under section 12.23c. Whenever I'm talking about the registration that deals with 12AB, when I'm talking about the approval that deals with the institution fall under section 1023c. Now, who are required to file form number 10B? See, just understand this is the basic concept of form number of 10B and 10BB. The trust or institution registered under section 12AB or approved under section 1023C who satisfy any of the following conditions. Now, before that, it was a separate form to deal with 1023C, that is in form number 10BB, and section 12AB, that is form number 10B, before the financial year 22-23. But now look at the language. Now the trust or institutions, both I am talking about, registered under section 12AB and section 1023C, who satisfy any of the following conditions. What are the conditions? A, if the total income of the trust or institution, here also trust and institution, without giving effect of the provision of section 11 and 12, meaning thereby it is talking about the gross total income. It is here the word is total income, but before giving of effect of section 11, 12, it means it's a gross total income. Or 1023C, 4, 5, 6, and 6A, these are the subsections, subclauses of the act exceed rupees 5 crores during the previous year. Means जो कोई ट्रस्ट नाणाकीय वर्ष 2022-23 માં જેની કુલ વાર્ષિક આવક કલમ 11 અને 12 ના ધ્યાને લેતા પહેલા જો 5 કરોડ રૂપિયાથી હોય તો જ ફોર્મ નંબર 10B લાગુ પડે છે. Is it clear? Before that, the provision was not there for the financial year 21-22, but financial year 22-23, the trust or institution must have an income more than 5 crore rupees without giving effect of section 11 and 12. Meaning thereby, what I believe that this form 10B is rarest of rare applicable in one professional office. If you are handling the trust affairs of 100, maybe this form number 10B applicable for maybe a 2 or 5. Remaining form number 10BB. So is it clear that form number 10B and 10BB? Now, if such trust or institution has received any foreign contribution during the previous year, or if such trust or institution has applied any part of its income outside India during the previous year. Now, if the trust having income of 4.5 crore rupees means it is below than 5 crore, and he has applied a 1 lakh rupees outside India, in that case, if we consider the only part of the income, then it fall from number 10BB. But if we are consolidating the income as well as the activity applied outside India, then it is a form number 10B. Means irrespective of the cap of 5 crore rupees, if you applied any part of income outside the India, then the entire form is applicable, form number 10B, where you need not require to consider the gross receipt of 5 crore rupees. And the institution also received any foreign contribution. If you have received a 1 rupees, $1, then in that case, your audit report fall in form number 10B, correct? Now we are moving ahead. Who are required? Who is required to file an audit format in form number 10BB? As I told earlier, then form number 10B, there are different conditions and paralimits of 5 crore rupees, but there are two rider for form number 10B. Now look at the form number 10BB. The trust or institution registered under section 12AB or approved under section 1023C, not falling in any in form number 10BB. Hence, I think so there must be a typing mistake. For here, there must be a form 10B. Hence, the reporting in form number 10BB must be used in all of the following situations are satisfied. Number one, if the total income of the trust or institution without giving effect of 11 or 12 or section 1023C subclause 4, 5, 6 and 6A of that is up to rupees 5 crore rupees. So most of the charitable trust fall under the prescribed form of form number 10BB. If such trust or institution has not received any foreign contribution, the word is has not received during the previous year, and if such trust or institution has not applied any part of its income outside India during the previous year. So two things. First, we need to investigate from the books of account or the information given by the trustee whether they have received a single rupees of foreign contribution. If yes, then without application of mine, the form number 10B. If you have not applied outside the India, if you have applied outside India, then without considering the other conditions, go for form number 10B. So I think so participant must have now clear about the form number, the applicability of the form number 10B vis-a-vis form number 10BB. Now, what are the changes in form number 10B and form 10BB? There are comprehensive changes in the contents and requirement of the annexer forming part of form number 10B and 10BB. If you look at the form number 10B and BB, it's still of the reporting format in form number, maybe in must have page of 3-4 pages, but followed by annexer, followed by schedules. So the annexer forming part of form number 10BB consists of 15 sections, 6 schedules, whereas the annexer forming part of and form 10B consists of 26 sections and 19 schedule. So this we need to fill up instead of filing of 2 pages form number 10B. Earlier, we are just mentioning the total income of trust, then 15% separate and rest applied for the charitable, and then rest of the part not applicable. We are very used to, and we are very we were all in the comfort zone for filing of in form number 10B and 10BB. But this time, I think so very need of time to give the full attention. Do not rely on the clerks or some subordinate staff. Just go through the entire, just preview the form number 10B and BB, and thereafter go for the uploading of these such forms through online web portal. Now, what are the overviews of the annexer of form number 10BB? I think so that I am going to take up each section. I am not going to read out at present basic details, then legal, management, The commencement of activity is very important. Details of place where the books of accounts. Friends, it is very surprising as if that the business, as like as business under section 44AA, now the trust is also required to maintain, keep and maintain. The word is keep and maintain the books of accounts, documents and records with effect from 1/4/2022. So last previous year to 2022 and 23 covered by the books of accounts. Now voluntary contribution, income to be applied, income of application of income, then BBI, BBC, 13(3) specified violations and TDS, TCS. TDS provisions is also applicable to the public charitable trust. Please ensure that all the payments not to pass before deducting the TDS, because it's not going to allow you while computing the income of the taxation of the trust. Now the additional section includes in form number 10B, that's a registration details, that objects, advancement of general public utility, business undertaking, business incidental to objects, TDS on receipts, other income, capital asset, 1310 and 22nd proviso of section 1023C that talks about the payments made on the actual as well as about the liable for the TDS, expenditure incurred for the religious purposes. Now, this is the form number 10B. This talks about the rule governed by 16CC and 17B. I would like to read 3 or 4 sentences, very important here. Then first preamble is audit report under clause B of 10th proviso to clause 23C of section 10. As I told you that now institution and trust both are required to file same form. That's the form number 10B and 10BB. We are taking up form number 10B because this is the lengthiest form as compared to form number 10BB. So we are not dealing today with form number 10B as well as 10BB, because in form number 10B, the entire contents of form number 10BB covered. So in that way, subclause 2 of clause B of subsection 1 of section 12A of Income Tax 1961, in case of a fund of trust or institution or any university. See here the categorize about the institution, public charitable trust, then university or other educational institution or any hospital or other medical institution. ઘણી વખત એવો સવાલ પૂછવામાં આવે છે કે university is also considered as a public charitable trust, even otherwise than governed by the Private University Act 2008. So in my opinion, yes, universities also fall under the section 11 and 12 and also required to form 10B or BB, whatever applicable. Now I would like to read I/we have examined the balance sheet of, meaning thereby you are examined the balance sheet of so and so trust, hospital, medical institution as at so and so, income and expenditure or profit and loss account for the year ended on that the date are in agreement with the date are in agreement with the books of accounts maintained by the said fund. See, look at the language here that you have examined as well as you are in agreement with the books of account maintained by the said fund, trust, institution, university, so and so. So meaning thereby you also in agreement with the books of accounts. So the entire entries that made in books of account that need to verify until and unless you are not satisfied about the genuineness of transaction and bona fide intention of the trust, you cannot certify this form number 10B, right? And the last language, in my opinion and based of so and so explanation given so and so, particular given so, annexer are true and correct. The word is the particulars given in the annexer are true and correct, subject to following observation. We are very much used to with that. આપણે observation ક્યારે qualification ક્યારે narrate કરતા નથી in details. I'm putting my view saying that give it to entire details which is adversing the compliances of section 11, 12 or other sections is that which is specifically deal with form number 10B and covered by annexer. So just make sure do not put it a regular note કે અમારી સમક્ષ બુક્સ ઓફ એકાઉન્ટ્સ પ્રોડ્યુસ નથી કર્યા, રજિસ્ટર પ્રોડ્યુસ નથી કર્યું, કે વાઉચર્સ અમે અનેબલ વેરીફાઈ કર્યા છે, કે ડોનેશન ઇન કેશ 2000 થી વધારે અમે વેરીફાઈ નથી કરી શક્યા. These are the notes is now not applicable because now you have in with the agreement with the books of account. Now you cannot say that it is unable to verify the as the volume of the transaction are in huge, we are unable to verify. The days gone for such kind of languages and excuses. Now you are not only required to express your opinion, verification and correctness and the agreement or in the correctness of the annexers. You are required to 4 things in form 10B preamble. That's a balance sheet, income expenditure, books of account and annexer which is forming part of form number 10B. Now these are the format. It's very simple, but just look at followed by the annexer. Now annexer of the 10B will go first clause 1 to 6, that's deal with basic details. What are the basic details? Some of the I'm not going to deal with, or some of we are taking in details because I think so in PAN number and name of auditee I am not required to give it my explanation in details. So I'm taking in very fast. PAN of auditee, then name of auditee. Auditee means it's a trust, institution, hospital, university, medical or temple or gurudwara, whatever the name you tell, that falls under the public charitable definitions in section, look into section 215. Assessment year you are aware about, previous year you are aware about. Now I would like to draw attention on the register address of the auditee. Now the register address of auditee meaning thereby whether this address mentioned in memorandum or trust deed, whether the actual activity carried out those address or the address that books of accounts are maintained, which are the offices that we need to mention. So in my opinion that the register office address, that means the address mentioned in the PTR or the trust deed or the memorandum of association, and other addresses. See, other addresses, why they have mentioned other addresses, what is the logic? The note says that in serial number 6 provide the addresses which have been decided by management by way of resolution. ઘણી વખત એવું બને છે કે 1981 માં ટ્રસ્ટ બન્યું હોય તે વખતનું એડ્રેસ કંઈક જુદું ચાલતું હોય, ત્યાર પછી 3 એડ્રેસ આપણે બદલી નાખ્યા હોય, પરંતુ ચેરિટી કમિશનરમાં આપણે જણાવ્યા જ ના હોય. તો એવા સંજોગોની અંદર જો કોઈ ટ્રસ્ટીએ કોઈ રિઝોલ્યુશન પાસ કર્યું હોય નવા એડ્રેસ માટે, so which has been intimated to the jurisdictional assessing officer in writing within 7 days, not online, in writing, within how many days? 7 days of such resolution as per the proviso to sub rule 3 of rule 17AA. Now you need to mention in column number 5, it's a register address of the auditee that I told you, and other addresses that what the resolution passed by the managing committee or the board of trustees, they're required to intimate within 7 days of the occurrence of changes, and that too in the writing, and that too with the jurisdictional assessing officer. Let us develop this case that the trust having a 20 institutions in name of a ABC college, ABC BSc college, B.Ed college, MSc college, PhD, then the different institutions under one public charitable trust, and all different institutions having a different addresses, then which address is required to mention here as a registered address of the RDT? So in my opinion, you require to only the parental registered office of the public charitable trust, not the addresses of the institutions. Now we are moving ahead with the clause 7 and 8, that is the legal information. What is the type of oddity? Trust, society, company, or others. You are very much aware that trust is governed by the Gujarat Public Trust Act. Earlier it was a Bombay Public Trust Act. Society, that means the Society Registration Act 8060, not the Society Registration of the Cooperative Society Act. Just I would like to draw attention on the part of the Societies Registration Act that falls with the Charity Commissioner Office, and the Charity Commissioner having a dual position. One is the Registrar of Society and the Commissionerate of the Trust. So these societies I am talking about, it's not cooperative society, but the society that I am talking about, they fall under the provisions of the Society Registration Act 8060. If I'm talking about the company, then company fall under the previous act of 1956 and the amended act 20213. Previously it was section 25 of the Companies Act 1956, whereas section 8 is corresponding the NGO or the public charitable trust under the Companies Act. So take out the appropriate. Sometimes it may so happen that the same trust is registered with the two authority, the trust and simultaneously with the society. So you have to take out both the options. Whether the audit is established under instrument. Instrument means the trust governed by the deed, constitution, memorandum, or rules or regulations. In early of the enactment of the act in Europe, probably 1950-60 till 65, oral deed also to be executed before the charity office, and oral agreement that also allowable before the office of the charity. તો ઘણા ટ્રસ્ટો એવા છે કે જેમાં ટ્રસ્ટ ડીડ જ નથી, અને ઘણા ટ્રસ્ટોના રૂલ્સ રેગ્યુલેશન નથી કે કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન નથી, માત્ર ફોર્મ નંબર 2G ની અંદર કેટલીક શરતો લખી છે કે કેટલીક જોગવાઈઓ લખી છે, એ જોગવાઈઓ બંધન કરતા છે, એ જ તમારું ટ્રસ્ટ ડીડ, કાં તો PTR, એ જ તમારું ટ્રસ્ટ ડીડ. So whether the audit is established under the instrument, so in most of the cases, yes. Other means University Educational Tax Bar Association. All Gujarat Federation is also a public charitable trust, and Income Tax Bar Association is also a public charitable trust. So by virtue of this webinar, I must appreciate the both of the association aggressively representing the issues of public charitable trust. Earlier, in previous year also, they made a very strong representation before the competent authority. And this year, yesterday itself, I came to know, because I am the chairman of the representation committee. So we have gone through the entire complexity and feedback received from the tax professional, and we have represented it before the competent authority for the extension of the due date and deferment of the form number 10B and 10BB. Let's hope for the best, but let us focus on before that on form number 10B and BB with me. So in many cases, the trust registered in early of the regime that I told you, either trust deed, MOA, AOA, constitutions, or rules and regulations. Now another clause is 9 that talks about the registration. So details of the registration oblique provisional registration or approval or the provisional approval. Whenever I am talking about the registration, that deals with 12 AB. When I am talking about the approval, that talks with section 1023C institution. So here covered both. Or notification of the auditee under the Income Tax Act. Here we need to mention the provisional as well as the final registrations. Now, section or para 1 deal with section under which registration, provisional registration, registered or approval or provisionally approved. जो कोई ट्रस्ट ફોર્મ 10B ભરતા સુધીમાં ફાઇનલ સર્ટિફિકેટ ન મેળવ્યું હોય, કારણ કે એની ડ્યુ ડેટ 30/9 છે, તો હું માનું ત્યાં સુધી ઘણા બધા ટ્રસ્ટોએ હજુ એપ્લાય કરવાનું બાકી રહ્યું હશે. તો જો આપણી પાસે માત્ર ને માત્ર પ્રોવિઝનલ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન સર્ટિફિકેટ હોય કે પ્રોવિઝનલ એપ્રુવલ હોય, તો you have to mention provisional. If you have commenced the activity and already obtained the final registration, then you need to mention final registration. You need not require to mention provisional registrations or the approval details here. Now column number 2 deals with the date of registration, provisional registration, which can be verified with the form number 10AC. That's a certificate of registration. Now third number, that is a unique registration number. The number specifically mentioned in the registration certificate. Authority granting registration, authority પણ mention કરી છે, that is a CIT exemption, or in some of the cases the Chief Commissioner of Income Tax. Due date from which the registration, provisional registration, approval registration is effective. This also mentioned in with the form number 10AC. Form number 10AC પરથી particular column number 9 આપણું fill up થઈ જશે. Now, these are the various code that we need to specifically mention in that registration, a particular column number 9, which registered or provisional registered or approved or provisionally approved. One of the following codes shall be selected. Details of all registration and provisional registration or the approval which are valid during the previous year should be provided. However, where the auditee has got the registrations or approval after provisional or the approval, the details of provisional registrations or approval need not to be provided. So these are the code I am sharing with PowerPoint presentation with all of you for the benefit of the members at large, as requested by both of the association with the beginning of this webinar. I am circulating with this in a due course for the benefit of the members. So section 12AB, then 1023C, 35 and 80G, these are the various code that we need to mention. Now annexed to form number 10B, that clause 10 about the management. Particular column 10 deal with the management. I'm dealing with the language of 10A. Details of all authors, founders, settlers, trustees, members of society, members of governing council, directors, shareholders holding 5% or more shareholding, office bearer of the auditee at any point of time during the award. Just I would like to draw attention, the word is at any time during the previous year. Does not necessarily mean that on 31st March 2023 पर होगा चाहिए. The word is at any time during the previous year. Now the very surprising, the details called for the authors and founders, which has already been with the department, because in earlier year also we have furnished the details of authors and founders, because authors and founders are not going to change with the one financial year, because they are the settler, and settlers are not going to change by one previous year to another previous year. So again, they are asking for the authors, founders, settlers, trustees, members of society. Now, members of society is a numerous. If I am talking about the All Gujarat Federation of Income Tax Bar Association, they are also a member of the, they are also registered with the Society Registration Act. If I am interpreting the language of column particular 10, the members of governing council, so this may be 11 or 12 or maybe a 21. So you need to detail the 11 or 21 persons details here of the governing council. Directors, shareholders holding more than 5%, and office bearer of the auditee at any time during the previous year. So first column, column number 10A, in column particular 2, for relation one or more of the following codes shall be selected. That talks about the author, founder. If the author, then put it code 1. If founder, then put it code 2. I'm not reading out the entire, but settler, trustee, members of society, members of governing council, director, shareholders, and office bearers. Most of the trust is required to file the details of trustee. So the code 4 will be applicable in most of the cases. In serial number 10A, the column number 5. See, look at the column number 5, ID code. They want not only the details of the name of person, but they need the ID code. What do you mean by ID code? The PAN is code number 1, Aadhaar code number 2. If neither PAN or Aadhaar is available, then one of the following should be filled. Then taxpayer identification number of the country where the person resides. Means this talks about the NRI. Passport number, that's code 4. Elector photo identity number 5, driving license 6, ration card 7. Now annexed to form number 10B, that's object 11 and 12. Here that details of name, unique identity or ID code that I have told you, address, that details in, I am suggesting to put it the addresses as mentioned in Aadhaar card. If you are mentioning Aadhaar card, then put it the address of Aadhaar card only. Non-individual person as mentioned, row number 10A, percentage of beneficial ownership, whether there is any change in during the previous year of audit or not. If yes, then specify the change. You have to mention particularly particular B column that talks about the beneficial owner of 5% or more at any point of time during the previous year. Now we are moving ahead with the clauses 11 and 12 that talks about the objects. The objects of the auditee. Here you have to mention, this is very important. If you selected religious, then it may directly impact on the section governed by ATG, because you are aware then in religious trust, ATGs will not be applicable. If you have obtained ATG fraudulently or either suppressing of material fact or by mistaken, and if you are selecting here as a religious, then it will be directly affecting on the connecting with section 80G. Now the religious trust, poor, relief to poor, educational, medical, yoga, reservations of environment, reservation of monuments or places and this and that, and advancement of any other object of the general public utility. The most of trust fall under the activity to relief to poor, education and medical relief. These three probably that we need to select the code number 2, 3 and 4. We will talk about the general public utility that you are very much aware. I am not taking with the interpretations of the word general public utility. Now, column 12 particularly deals with objects, whether the auditee being the trust or institution referred in Section 11 and 12 has adopted or undertaken modification of the object which do not conform to the conditions of registration. Before that, I would like to draw attention on the certain condition of form number 10 AC, whereas they have deal with if any contraventions of the condition mentioned in registration certificate form 10 AC, then the entire exemption under section 11 and 12 will be withdrawn. Meaning thereby કે જો તમે કોઈ હેતુઓમાં ફેરફાર કર્યો છે અને જો તમે એ હેતુઓના ફેરફાર માટેનું ઇન્ટિમેશન તમે જ્યુરિસ્ડિક્શનલ ઇન્કમ ટેક્સ એક્ઝામ્શનમાં નથી આપ્યું, then it will directly impact on the registration approved under section 12AB, and accordingly cancellation of registration under section 12AB that will be directly deal with section 11 and 12, meaning thereby there will be no application of income, assuming that the entire expenditure is likely to be disallowed and your gross total income are subject to the levy of tax at the rate of maximum marginal rate. Now look at the two. If yes, then please furnish the following information. Then date of such modification or adoption. દરેક ચાર્ટર્ડ એકાઉન્ટન્ટે સ્પેસિફિકલી ઓબ્ઝર્વ કરવાનું છે કે કોઈ હેતુઓમાં ફેરફાર થયો છે કે કેમ. Now the duty is cast upon to the chartered accountant to mention the auditor is supposed to report for the modification of the object. The burden lies on the auditor to report the same. તો સાહેબ આપણને તો જે ઇન્ફોર્મેશન ફર્નિશ કરશે એ જ આપણે તો રજૂ કરવાના છે. But before that, take the certificates and undertakings from the board of the management as well as the board of the trustees. એક ચોક્કસ ફોર્મેટ બનાવી દોજો આ બધાનું, જેથી બોર્ડ આપણને આ એપ્રુવલ આપે કે આવું કોઈ મોડિફિકેશન થયા જ નથી. અધરવાઇઝ એકાઉન્ટન્ટ અને રિપોર્ટિંગ ટ્રસ્ટી તો બધું હા કે ના કહી દેશે અને the burden lies on you. How you derived કે yes or no. So there must be some evidences or some information available with the chartered accountant regarding the change in the object of the trust. So the date of such modification or adoption, you have to mention specifically date. So be aware. Whether an application for registration has been made, see, look at the immediate question. The moment you say yes, then you have to be mention the date of particularly change in object, and then particularly clause B is talking about whether an application for registration has been made or not in the prescribed form or manner within the stipulated period of 30 days, the period of 30 days from the date of the said adoption. એટલે આપણે અહીંયા ડેટ ઓફ મોડિફિકેશન કર્યા પછીના 30 દિવસ જોવાના છે કે 30 દિવસમાં આપણે ઇન્ટિમેટ કર્યા છે કે કેમ. If yes, then you have to mention yes. If no, then you have to mention no. But you have to calculate the 30 days from the date of changes in the objects. Now what talks about C? If yes, then provide the details of regarding application. See, if no, then this clause is not applicable. But if yes, then definitely the clause 12(2)(c) will be applicable. Then serial number, date of application, status of registration in pursuance to application. See, you have to mention status also. So you have to go through the status of the application, whether it has been approved or not. Date of registrations of cancellation based on such application. Why this date of registrations or cancellation based on such application is very relevant? Because if you fail to intimate within 30 days, then the levy of tax accordingly at the maximum marginal rate, assuming that you have not been approved under section 12AB. If approved, then it's likely to be cancelled on ground of non-intimating within 30 days to the competent authority in the prescribed format within the a period of 30 days. Section 12AB for cancellation of registration due to specified violation. This is one of the specified violation that talks about non-intimating to the competent authority within the 30 days. Now we are moving ahead with the commencement of activity, that clause 13. Now commencement of activities 13.1, where the auditee has been granted provisional registration or provisional approval, whether activities have commenced during the previous year. The burden lies with the chartered accountant. How it consider the commencement of activity? How? They have not defined. I'm repeating, I'm reading again. Whether the auditee has been granted provisional registration or provisional approval, whether activities have commenced. The word is activity, it's not talks about the charitable activity. Please keep in mind one thing. આમાં બહુ જ કન્ફ્યુઝન છે કે ટ્રસ્ટની એક્ટિવિટી એટલે ક્યારે, જ્યારે હું ડોનેશન લઉં ત્યારે, at the time of registration, at the time of acceptance of donation, at the time of application of income, or at the time of opening a bank account. Which one? So I just would like to draw attention on the word is whether the activities have commenced. It not talks about the charitable activity. Activity in any manner, either registration or donation or application of income or bank account, whichever is earlier. So you have to mention the specifically date. See, look at the 13.2. If yes, in 13.1, because most trusts have commenced the activity. Probably those trusts who have just registered and obtained 12AB, then in that case is something different. But if you talks about means those trusts have already obtained registration earlier in early regime of 12A or 12AA, then the question of a activity commencement does not arise in my opinion. But this is very surprising link that they have put it and they have asked for the 13.1. મારું 1981 નું ટ્રસ્ટ હોય ને હું સ્કૂલ ચલાવતો હોઉં છું, તો now where there is a question of the activity that has commenced. Now the word is in a previous year. I just would like to draw attention on 13.1 again. Whether the auditee has been granted provisional registration or provisional approval. Here talks about provisional, means this particular column is applicable for those who have obtained or granted registration provisionally. That not talks about the earlier regime of 12A and AA in previous year. Why? Because provisional no final registration karva mate within 6 months of commencement of activity karwani છે. That's why the income tax department is collecting the data, and now onus lies with the auditor. Now let us go with the 3. If the answer of 13.1 is yes, whether the application for registration under subclause 3 of clause AC of subclause 1 of section 12A or application for approval under clause 1023C. So you have to deal with particular yes and no. Now if yes 13.3, then sub another one question about provide the following details regarding the application for registration under subclause 3. See, the clause is very important because I came across many professional has not selected the correct code at the obtaining a form number at the obtaining a registration in 12AB. એ લોકોએ તો આપી દીધા ભૂલમાંથી, પણ ચાર્ટર્ડ એકાઉન્ટન્ટ કે ટેક્સ કન્સલ્ટન્ટે જો સેક્શન 1 કે 2 સિલેક્ટ ન કરી હોય કે ETG માં 11 કે 12 સિલેક્ટ ન કરી હોય, then you are required to get it registered again. This window is open કે 30/9 પહેલા રજીસ્ટ્રેશન નો એનો લાભ આપણને મળી શકે એમ છે. So આનો એડવાન્ટેજીસ બધાએ લેવો જોઈએ. I will take 5 minutes for that. પણ એની સેક્શન પર્ટિક્યુલરલી 3 માં તમે અપ્રુવલ કર્યું છે તો એ તમારે પર્ટિક્યુલર 13(4) માં એ કોરસ્પોન્ડિંગ કરવાનું છે. So 10A not commence the activity, 10EB commence the activity. Now we are moving ahead with the place where the books of accounts and other documents are maintained. Very important questions and very relevant to the auditor. Now look at the column particular 14, whether the books of accounts and other documents, it's not restricted to books of accounts. The word is and, continue. I just would like to repeat the sentence, whether the books of account and other documents. I am talking about the books of accounts and documents. Documents means agenda book, resolution book, purchase register, sales register, or any other documents have been kept. The word is kept and maintained. Kept and maintained in the form and manner and such place as prescribed rule 17 by the auditee. Yes or no? So you have to say yes. Provide the following details of the books of accounts and other documents. See, you have to mention the details of the books of accounts. In 3CD, we are mentioning the books of account and selecting 3 or 4, that cash book, ledger and JV register, and then we are not mentioning in detail, but the same clause is also applicable to the public charitable trust now, and you have to mention the nature of books of accounts. That talks about nature of books of account. Then cash book, ledger, journal. See the column number 4, copies of bill, whether machine numbered or otherwise, whether such bills are issued by the SSE and copies are counter folios, you have to also mention this detail. Now look at the point number 5, original bills. Now look at the point number 6, any other books that may be required to be maintained in order to give. See, the word is to give a true and fair view of the state of the affairs of the person and explain the transaction effected. Now particular 8 that talks about the business. I'm not going to take the same. Record of all the projects, institution run by the person. Now this is very dangerous, that the trust is running out, say for example in a PPP mode in state of Gujarat is carrying out a 40-50 project in different villages. Then you have to maintain the separate project of each villages or the project wise or the institution wise, and then you have to also mention particularly here the auditor is required to be mentioned particularly this point number 9, code number 9. Now record of application of income out of income of any previous year, record of voluntary contribution made with the specific direction. Just look at the corpus donation is also covered now. Record of voluntary contribution made with specific direction, which shall be forming part of corpus. પહેલા એવું હતું કે capital receipt હતી, forming part of particularly balance sheet, so need not required to specifically deal with the corpus donation. Now you cannot escape from. Now this also covered by rule 17AA. Record of contribution received for the purpose of renovation mandir or repair of temple, Gurudwara, church and mosque. Why this specifically 80G to be inserted by the Finance Act 2022 and retrospectively effect from with 1/4/2021? Because the particular is a Ram Mandir. Because trust no law એવો છે કે જો ડોનેશન આવે 85% વાપરી નાખવું પડે. હું રામ મંદિરને 31.31 કરોડ રૂપિયા આપું તો એ 85% ક્યાંથી વાપરી શકે? So then Ram Mandir is also fall under the levy of taxation in that case. Now government come up with the new clauses of 80G2B that consider as a corpus as per rule 1711, 17AA 1D6. Now record of loan and borrowing. See, not only the books of accounts, not only the ledgers, not only the bills, not only the other documents, not only the contribution receipt, but also the loan and borrowing register record separately. Then record of properties separately, because this sub-rule governs separately. Record of specified person. What do you mean by specified person? That we'll talk, because that covered under 13. We will also take up this matter later on. Then any other document containing any other relevant information. What is this? Any other document containing any other document. હવે શું બાકી રહેશે? 17 માં ઘણું બધું કહી દીધું છે. છતાં એમને એવું મૂક્યું છે any other documents containing any relevant information as per rule 17AA 1D10. Now this is very important, particularly cause about the books of accounts, maintenance of books of account, other documents for NGO under rule 17AA. Finance Act 2022 amended section 12A and section 23C to provide there where total income of the trust or institution under the both regime without giving effect of 11 and 12 maximum amount which is not chargeable to tax, such trust or institution shall keep and maintain the books of accounts and other documents in such form and manner at such place as may be prescribed. The Central Board of Direct Taxes has notified Rule 17AA prescribing books of accounts and other documents to be kept and maintained by trust or institution registered under 12A and 23C. Now every fund or institution required cash book, ledger, journal, copies of bill, books of accounts for business undertaking 11.4. See, the public charitable trust run carrying out a business activity that governs by section 11.4. Other records I have already described earlier, that loans and properties and voluntary contribution I am not going. The books of accounts and other documents may be kept in written form or in electronically form or in digital form or printouts of data stored digitally. So electrically and manually, both books of accounts that we need to keep and maintain for the public charitable trust. The books of account and other documents shall kept in a manner, and very importantly, the books of accounts and other documents shall be kept and maintained for a period of how many years? 10 years from the end of the relevant assessment year. Very surprisingly, the Income Tax Act talks about the 4-year, and then earlier it was talks about 8-year. And for the public charitable trust, they come up with 10 years of records to be maintained. Now, what do you mean by books of account? That includes ledger, day books, cash books, account books, books, and so and so. Accounts have to be maintained at the prescribed place. Accounts on laptop, LAN, and cloud. Yes, that also covered. Accounts maintained by trustee at his residence or office of the CA. That is very important. કોઈ પણ ટ્રસ્ટીને ક્યાં પણ કહીએ કે તમારા બુક્સ ઓફ એકાઉન્ટ ક્યાં છે, તો કે સાહેબ મને ખબર નથી, તો ટ્રસ્ટના ચાર્ટર્ડ એકાઉન્ટન્ટની ઓફિસ પર છે. Please do not keep the books of account of the public charitable trust at your office as a auditor, because law is very clear. Then the books of account should be maintained at the place of registered office only. So whenever the seasons of audit or whenever the completion task of the audit, just handed over all the books of accounts to the trust. Also maintain properly track records and communication that the books of account is only for the purpose of audit that you have kept for, so that you need to take all the undertaking and communication with the public charitable trust or the reporting trustee. Now, consequences for non-maintaining of the, what will be the consequence? Benefit under section 11.12 is not available, meaning thereby the entire application of income disallowed and liable for tax. Computation as income less application is not applicable. No basic exemption of 15%. Corpus donation not exempt 11(1)(d). No benefit under section 11(1)(a) for capital gains. No deemed application under explanation 1 to the section 11(1), and no accumulation for 5 years under section 11(2). Income to be computed under section 13(10) and penalty under section 271(a) for non-maintenance of books of accounts and documents. See, these are the consequences. I came across many trusts that not kept and maintained the books of accounts for the financial year 22-23, and they said that we have been not informed by the auditor or the accountant, and we were not aware about the books of account. Please make sure without books of account, then you cannot claim section 11 and 12. So be aware that whether the actual books of accounts have been maintained or not, that need to specifically verified genuinely with the book with the public charitable trust, not about the hear and say and about the statement recorded before the auditor. Now we are moving ahead about the advancement of general public utility. Now I am moving fast because this particular clauses will not be applicable to each and every trust. I will cover the commonly applications of the all clauses in form number 10B and 10BB, because I also need to go through taking on the tour with the ITR-7. Now 15 and 16 clauses that talks about the advancement of the general public utility, wherein in any of the project or institution run by the auditee, one of the charitable purpose is advancement of any other object of general public utility, any object of general public utility. Then number A, whether any activity is being carried out by the auditee which is in nature of trade, commerce or business. See, whenever the activity in relation to the nature of trade, commerce or business, then it falls under 215 proviso to clause 15 of section 2. Whether such activity in any nature of trade, commerce activity or so and so, and then how much percentage vis-a-vis a total receipt. Then whether there is any activity in rendering to services in relation to any trade, commerce or business or so and so, and you need to mention percentage. So this may be this very few trusts having such kind of the activities that carried out during the previous year, and you need to have to mention yes or no and the percentage of the activity vis-a-vis the total receipt. Now A or D, if in 15 is yes, then aggregate annual receipt from such activity in respect to that project or institution. See, you have to mention particularly the name of the project and annual aggregate receipt. If the trust is engaged in the activity of imparting a PPP model with the government, then you have to mention the government project and the annual receipt or grant, you mean to say, from the government here. Now this clause, rarest of rare, applicable to the public charitable trust, business undertaking or business incidental to object. This is very thin line interpretation, whether the Premvati or like of the Swaminarayan Mandir providing a food or some other food provided by some school or canteen provided by university, whether this is a business or not. So this is thin line interpretation. I'm not going to lead it, but just to make sure whether this activity is incidental to the business or whether the activity is incidental to the object of the trust. Then you have to decide based on the motive of the profit or based on the activity that you have conducted, whether it is a commercially or not. That didn't need to be tested out or need to be checked out. Now business undertaking, I'm not going to deal with this, but this section is governed by 11.4, the nature of business undertaking, business code, whether separate books of account maintained or not, whether the undertaking or previous year is to be included in the total income or not, as per the 11.4, income from business or undertaking of the previous year to be included in the total income of the auditee as per section 11.4. All the details of similarly 1023C and 4A that you have to mention. I'm not going on detail on this part, but section 1023C 7th proviso and section 11.4 of the Act, this covered by particular column 17 and 18. Audit report in form number 3C and 3CB are required to be uploaded in case of a 11.4 and 4A. If the trust is engaged in the business activity, then the applicability of the form number 3CA, 3CB, 3CD will applicable in that particular case. In serial number 17, 2C and 18C, upload the balance sheet, income expenditure, profit and loss account report of 3CA and 3CB is applicable on the part. And the credit card electronic modes shall also be covered as new rule that 6AA, that's a credit card, debit card, net banking, IMPS, UPI, RTGS, NEFT and BIM. This I did not to explain the detail of the abbreviation because you all are aware about that. So important point is TDS on the receipt. The word is receipt. Now, details of the receipts of the auditee on which the tax has been deducted at source in section 194C, J, H and Q. They are specifically deal with the section of 194C, J, H and Q. So you have to give the reply particular the transaction for this section only, not other than the section of TDS. So serial number, name of deductor, TAN number, amount, I'm not going to deal with the particular column, but it talks about the TDS. Whether the provision of 22nd similar with the 1023C and the 1310, whether the auditee has filed form number 10BD, that is very important for the previous year. Whether the form 10BD is filed or not for the previous year, donation statements update 31st May માં જે extended 30th June હતું, જે donation ની હવે receipt online generate થાય છે, એ particular form 10BD ભરેલું છે કે કેમ એ આપણે અહીંયા જણાવવાનું છે. Section 11.4A business incidental to the attainment of the main objective. If you are carrying out the incidental to the attainment of the main objective, then you need to maintain a separate books of account. If you have separated books of accounts, then the exemption under section 11 will be available. If you have not maintained the books of accounts separately, then section 11 will not be applicable in your case. So if section 4 and 4A, then the separate books of account as well as advisable to separate bank account also to need to be separately maintained, particularly for two clauses. Now, donation reported in form number 10BD. Before that, આપણે particular details આપવાની હોય છે donor ની. ઘણા ચાર્ટર્ડ એકાઉન્ટન્ટ્સ પ્રોફેશનલ મિત્રો એવું કર્યું છે કે જેમને રિસિપ્ટ, જેમને એટીજી ક્લેમ નથી કરવાનો, કાં તો એમને ક્રેડેન્શિયલ આપણી પાસે નથી, એ બધાના ડેટા ફોર્મ નંબર 10BD માં ઇન્સર્ટ નથી કર્યા. Now, AI of Income Tax Department is verifying the total receipt with form number 10BD, with income and expenditure, with form number 10B or BB, and with the total income computed with the computation of income. So 4 check measures for the receipt to be verified. Now, if there is a discrepancies, then the levy of tax accordingly with section 115 BBC as an anonymous donation. If you fail to report the donation receipt in form number 10BD, then department may raise the question why the remaining donation should not be considered as an anonymous donation and why the levy of tax not accordingly as per the anonymous donation. So please be aware, particular column number 22, the sum of donation reported in form number 10 BD, you have to mention the sum of donation not reported in form number 10 એમ વાત કરી કે રામ મંદિરનું પાર્ટિક્યુલર કોર્પસ ડોનેશન માટેનો જે નવું સેક્શન ઇન્ટ્રોડ્યુસ કરવામાં આવી છે, that is B subsection 2 of section 80G. Then particular 22(2), donation received by fund or institution of the oddity which qualifies for deduction under 80G(2) that I am talking about. Now, very surprisingly, 3, cash donation exceeding rupees 10,000. The burden lies on the auditor to put it the amount. Cash donation exceeding 2,000. How is it possible to verify? Then you have to particularly verify the ledger of the cash donation, whether maintained separately or not. That you need to look out into matter. Donation received from the other charitable trust, inter-charity donation. Other, specify the nature and total of ABC. Now 23(4), donation which could not be reported in form number 10 BD due to non-availability of the identification of donors. કોઈ donor નું 80G માં 10 BD માં કોઈ credential નથી લીધું, PAN નંબર કે આધાર કાર્ડ, તો એવું પણ particular તમારે donation અહીં verify કરવાનું છે. Means total donation not reported in form 10 BD, donation exceeding rupees 2,000, donation that without the credential of the donor. Now, donation received in kind, very surprisingly. See, look at the donation received in kind that you have to mention here. Anonymous donation referred to section 115 BBC, as I told you earlier. Amount of anonymous donation not taxable under 115 BBC or account of applicability of so and so clause of 115 BBC. So you have to mention donation received in kind in rupees. How you derived this, the value, the acquisition amount, the book value, the market value, how you point out, particularly fill up this column. So auditor is more responsible to verify the genuineness of transaction and bona fide intention. So just make sure how they have evaluated and evaluated the donation in kind before reporting this particular 23 column. Then any voluntary contribution, voluntary contribution not forming part of 10 BD. I'm not going to read out the each and particular section, but this entire clause, it talks about the form number 10 BD in kind and is cash exceeding, not reported or not reported on ground of the identifications of the donor. This statement of donation, we are very much aware that clause 8 and 9 in section 80G(5) requiring trust or institutions that statement is required to be furnished. If they fail to furnish the statement of donation, then donor will not get the deduction for the donation. Before filing form number 10B or BB or ITR-7, just make sure whether you have furnished form number 10 BD or not. In case of delay in filing such statement, the late fees of 200 rupees per day shall be applicable under newly inserted section 234G. How much? 200 rupees per day. Late fees, that is fees, not penalty. Further penalty under section 270K, 1K, which shall not less than 10,000 and which may be extended to 1 lakh shall be leviable. So late fee as well as be ready for the penalty for the furnishing a statement of donation in prescribed form number 10 BD. A newly inserted rule 18AB provides that the statement in form number 10 BD shall be filled and on or before 31st May. As I told that it has been extended immediately following the financial year. The donee is also required to issue a certificate. The word is very important. The donee is required to issue a certificate in form number so and so BE, particular form BE. It's not about the receipt of the donation, but electronically donate receipt in form number 10 BE, which also required to be issued in form issued on or before 31st May. Not only furnishing a report in form number 10 BD, but the donee is also required to issue a certificate in form 10 BE on or before 31st May, extended 30th June. So please be ensured whether the trust has complied or not complied, then the attractions of the late fee as well as the levy of penalty in that case. Sometimes these questions also raised in my various past seminar, whether the corrections of the statement is possible. Yes, there could be any advanced mistake while filing a statement. You can modify, but you cannot file the revise. But yes, alter, modify, the provision is available on the web portal. You may alter or modify in case of a mistake. Filing of nil statement is possible. See, Rule 18AB doesn't contain any provision to clarify whether reporting entity is required to submit a nil statement of donation. Now, income to be applied, particular column 28, 29, and 30. Income other than current contribution derived from property held under trust referred to section 11, or income of university or hospital and so and so. So income reported other than in serial number 424 falls under particular column 28. 29 talks about the income applied outside India which is eligible under clause C of subsection 1 of section 11. If school or hospital income is not in the nature of voluntary contribution, is to be reported here. Interest from FDR, interest from business undertaking, income from business which is incidental to main object, section 11(1)(c), that need to be mentioned particularly in column number 29. Income required to be applied in India by authority during the previous year, that also mentioned in particular column 30. Now, application of income, I am moving ahead with this particular column 31 because this is very traditional that we are aware about in the past also in ITR-7. Religious, relief to poor, educational, medical relief. As I told you, you have to select the particular column for the contribution or the donation received during the previous year. Now, particular clause 31, the amount payable in balance sheet is not allowed as application without opening as per the explanation to section 11(7). An amount paid out of the opening will be allowed as application in current year, subject to it was not allowed in the last year. See, these are the details of application out of 1A and 1B exceeding 50 lakh rupees. I am talking about the first column. 50 lakh upperna transaction specifically here report karwana hai. This applicable to form number 10B and particular transaction with exceeding in previous year 50 lakh. So the total application and repayment of loan amount deposit back in the particular column 31. Then in that case, here the example that we have put out about the application of the loan and the loan as on balance sheet. Loan as on 31st March 2022 10 lakh. Interest is 75,000. Repayment of installment 4 lakh. Closing balance that 10 lakh less 4 lakh is equal to 6,000 plus interest total would be 6,75,000. And whereas your principal repayment, you have to find out the principal repayment that consider as a application of income. So this is the formula, because this is first time introduction of the repayment of the loan that also consider as a application of income. So you have to find out what about the principal amount that you have paid earlier, correct? So these are the section. Amount to be disallowed from the application. 13 proviso or section 1023C explanation 3 to and explanation 3 to section 11.1 that talks about if you have not deducted TDS, then the entire expenditure is disallowed. See, look at the language. Amount disallowed under 13 proviso 23C and 3 explanation 3 of section 1 of 11. Read with clause IA of clause A of section 40. We are very much aware about the TDS provision of section 14. This allowable only in case of whether you have deducted or not. You have to verify. If yes, then the amount of application consider as in accordance with 11 and 1023C. If not, then it disallowed. You have to, auditor has to mention particularly the amount of the disallowance on ground of non-payment of TDS, in particular this column. Now 11.1C that talks about applied for any purpose beyond the, see, this liability is also cast, like responsibility cast upon to auditor on particular 16 applied for any other purpose beyond the object of the audit. Then in that case the auditor is required to verify the activity vis-a-vis the object in the memorandum. जो मेमोरेंडम में एज्युकेशन ना ऑब्जेक्ट જ ના હોય. ઘણા ટ્રસ્ટો એવા છે કે 1981 માં કે 1985 માં છે જેમાં એના હેતુઓ માત્ર 3 જ છે કે ચેરિટેબલ એક્ટિવિટી કરવી અને એજ્યુકેશન એક્ટિવિટી કરવી. હવે જો મેડિકલ એક્ટિવિટી કરો છો તમે જે પર્ટિક્યુલરલી ઓબ્જેક્ટ ક્લોઝમાં છે જ નહીં, તો એ એક્સપેન્ડિચર પણ ડિસઅલાઉડ થશે. એના માટે ઇન્ફોર્મેશન કોલ્ડ ફોર કરી છે. And the onus lies on the auditor to put out the figure whether it has been applied for any other purpose beyond the object of the audit or not. So make sure this is very important. Amount invested or deposited back in corpus which was applied but not claimed as application. That also mentioned particularly in this column. Repayment of loan or borrowed earlier applied but not claimed as application. This is opportunity for this year. You may claim this, the borrowing and loan amount of the repayment of the principal amount. Now taxable income, it talks about 30 particular clause talks about income required to be applied in India. Now, taxability under rule 115 BBI. These are the column that I'm not going to read, but the levy of tax to the public charitable trust is 30% as in accordance with section 115 BBI. If specified violation, they'll fall under this. If you have not deducted tax, this fall under this. If you are not obtained 12AB, then this fall under this. Means the levy of tax accordingly at the rate 115 BBI, 13% tax. These are the particular column that you have to mention particularly sections, details of capital asset, the particular 36, whether capital asset bring property held under the trust wholly or for the religious trust. જો કોઈ નવું ટ્રસ્ટ હોય, સેટલર કોઈ જમીન દાન આપી હોય, કોઈ મિલકત દાન આપી હોય, કોઈ vehicle દાન આપી હોય, so that constitute as a capital asset and you have to mention here. Application of income out of different sources. You have to mention your electronic mode or other than electronic mode. See, this task also lies upon the chartered accountant, whereas we have to specifically mention corpus, electronically modes, or other than electronically modes. Borrowed fund, whether electronic funds, yeah, other borrowed. Just this particular 37 clause talks about that, about the cash flow. And that's why they have mentioned the electronically modes and other than electronic modes, which how the electronic modes considered and which are the modes of electronically is that covered, that we have discussed earlier, that BEAM, that NHAI, then UPI and this like this. 38, that's the details of the application resulting in this and this. 1310 and second proviso of 1023C, that's very important, whether 22nd proviso of 23C is applicable or not, that we have to mention. That's expenditure incurred for the religious purpose. You have to specifically mention separately, and you have to also mention percentage of the expenditure. Here the person name, nature of the person you have to mention, in particularly 41 specified person as narrated in 13.3. કોને specified person કીધા છે? જો કોઈ author, trustee ના કોઈ સગાવાલાને આપણે કોઈ payments કર્યું હોય, contract આપ્યો હોય, કોઈ transaction કર્યા હોય, તો auditor specifically mention કરવાનું છે કે આમના બધા specified person ની definition માં fall out થાય છે. And this, if contravention of these particular 13.3 levy tax accordingly as per 115 BBI. These are the code that I am not dealing with. Specified violation, that's 13.3. That's now this is the schedule, this forming part of the 10B. But these are the schedules. These are the before that annexer, and before that the details. So I'm not going to deal with the details of the schedule because it will automatically fill up by the software based on the informations narrated in earlier annexer and the form number 10B. So this is the loan and borrowing schedule. That's the income applied outside the schedule. Schedule regarding the application of income, subsection 1B, details of accumulation of the earlier assessment here, the details of accumulation, and this all the separate schedules. Details of share security purchase, please mention if the trust having a shares or security, that need to mention. Details of the case of the property belongs to the immovable property, you have to mention all immovable property. Details of any shares and securities. In case of a property being immovable, 40A3, the amount is disallowed under the provision. You are aware about the payment exceed 10,000, that you have to mention particularly. 269 SS and T is also applicable. The same details as we are filing with the 3CD, 269 SS and T. TDS and TCS, that we have to mention. And filing of ITR form number 10BB, I am not dealing with because the entire content that I have covered in form number 10B. Before that, I would like to draw attention those who have occurred a mistake in obtaining a form number 12AB provisional registration. Then this is the one more opportunity offered by the department. You may rectify the same by filing a fresh application on or before 30th September, please avail this opportunity and rectify the same, failing which this will be construed as a accredited income and the levy of tax accordingly, the entire income considered as a taxable income, and the rate of 30% you are aware about. So please rectify the same. This may be a great opportunity from the end of the income tax department. If you have commenced the activity and not filed the regular registration or final registration, please just go through, and you may also file the same before 30th September. So I'm not taking the much time on the selection of code. Now let us go with the tour of ITR-7. The most of the clauses that we have discussed in form number 10B and BB, that is the replica in ITR-7, most of. So if the matter is like the information is again repeating as compared to form number 10B, then we will not discuss in detail. But the rest of the part which is not covered in the form number 10B, that we will take the same. So the annexer to ITR-7 part is general information, that clauses A to A2. Name of the trust, I am not dealing with, going to in detail. PAN, address, then PIN code, status. You have to select the status, particularly AOP, BOI, local authority, artificial, judicial person, domestic company or not, or a trust, and particular sub status, Society Registration Act, Public Charitable Trust, or so and so. Email address, return furnished under section 139 4A, 4B, 4C, and 4D. This is very important. Public charitable trust fall under 40A, 2023C fall under 40C, then 40B and 40D we will take later on. Whether the project of institution run by the SSE, you have to mention each and every project here, nature of activity and classification. What is 139(4)(a)? If the trust claiming exemption in section 11 and 12, did you select 4A? So probably most of the cases you have to select 139(4)(a). 4B, that is the chief executive officer, is known secretary or other political party. If your return is filing for a political party, select it 139(4)(b). If your research institution, associations, institution fall under 1023C, then select 139(4)(c). And university or college is institution, select 139(4)(d). Now A19, that talks about the section under which registered, provisionally registered, or the approved or notified. Here you have to select 20, 10, 23, AAA, 23C, subclause so and so, 12A, 12AA, so and so, ATG, so and so clauses. I am sharing this PPT, and this is also available to the particular when you are selecting or filing the ITR-7, you may select the same. A20, details of registration or provisional registration or income registration for the foreign contribution. You have to mention A20 to the registrations in respect to the provisional or registration or approval of the income tax department, or registration on the Darpan portal or Niti Aayog or with the SEBI. Return filed, you have to select 139(1). Before due date, after due date, you have to select 139(4). The moment you select after due date, then the entire computation will be considering in that way the entire expenditure likely to be disallowed. 139.5 you are aware about. 92 CD I am not taking because it's related to transfer pricing. And 119 to be that we are aware about the after condonation of a delay. Return filed in response to notice 139.9, 142.1, 148, 153C. We are aware about this section. I am not dealing with this. If revised, because 139.9, if revised or a defective or modified, then we need to a date, receipt and details and so and so. So residential status we need to mention, and this 92 CD I am not talking because it talks about the transfer pricing. 153 C I am also not dealing with at present. Whether the return is being filed by representative SSC, yes. Return whom to be signed, that we are aware about section 140 that talks about the return whom to be signed. So we need to put out the details who is going to sign this, verify the return. So details of the particular of the representative in that case. Whether you have held unlisted equity share. See, it talks about the unlisted equity shares. It's not talks about the form number 10B talks about the security or shares. These unlisted equity shares they're talking about. Now, clause and other details that A23 to A26, whether the project, this is the details of the project I am not dealing with, or the name of the project and institution wise in same percentage, same with the form number 10B. Whether the change in object or activity, same with the form number 10B. That talks about section 10, 1310 and 1023C. That talks about the trust or institution, both regimes are required to apply 85%. We are very much aware the trust is required to apply at least 85%, 85%, and remaining 15%, that is up to 15%. So this talks about this. Audit information A27 and A28. I am not dealing with because very much aware about the details of the auditor that you need to mention. The date of, you have to file the correct date of the furnishing of audit report. So form number 10B or BB, on which date that you have furnished, that you have to mention in ITR, particularly this section. Now members information, that calls about A29. As you are aware about that, this form number 10B also talks about author, founder, settler, trustee, member of society, member of governing council, director, or the office bearer, or the principal secretary, so and so. You have to mention this, all the details, same as per I-10B, PAN, Aadhaar, or you have to select the identification code as discussed in form number 10. Name of relatives, very, very important, of authors, founder, trustee, manager, manager also, substantial contributor also. હું ઇન્કમ ટેક્સ બાર એસોસિએશનમાં ભવન બનાવવા માટે 51 લાખનું ડોનેશન આપું અને મારા કોક સગા વ્યક્તિઓ જો ઓફિસ બેરર્સમાં હોય તો then auditor is required to put it the complete details of the same, PAN number, Aadhaar number, and name and address of the person. Schedule to the return forms, that schedule I. Now it all about schedules. Previously it was all the information and particularly column and clauses. Now it start schedule. Schedule will automatically fill up by the software with the most of the information that narrated in the ITR-7 in early A29 clauses. Again, this is the talks about the section 11.2 of the accumulation of fund. Why this has mentioned? Because now the clause has changed. There was amendment in 11.2 કે પહેલા 5 વર્ષ પૂરા થયાના છઠ્ઠા વર્ષે કન્સિડર કરતા હતા. હવે 5મા વર્ષના પૂરા થયાના અંતે જ 11.2 પણ જો ના વપરાયું હોય તો એ સ્પેસિફાઈડ કરવાનું છે. That's why they have called the information for the accumulation year 2016 and 17 deliberately. So make sure your non-utilized fund at the end of 5 years need to mention here. Do not wait for the completion of 5 and on beginning of the 6th year. So this talks about 2016-17 onwards. That is the purpose. This schedule IA is talks about the earlier accumulated income tax in earlier assessment year 11-3. Schedule D and DA, that's a deemed application of income for explanation 2 of 1 of subsection 1 of section 11. That is all about deemed income. Schedule DA, that is earlier years, talks about investment of funds. You have to mention in specifically Schedule J. So all your investment, that is, see, look out the first column, opening balance as on 142022. It is very difficult for those who have not maintained the books of account in earlier years. How they find out the opening balance? So this is very, again, a brainstorming for the chartered accountant to find out the opening balances of the corpus funds. Just take care of this particular Schedule J. Details of loan and borrowing, as I told earlier, I'm not going to deal with in detail because this is covered in form number 10B. So the source of funds, you have to source of funds specifically consolidated balance sheet on 31st March. These are the part of balance sheet. We are aware about the all the columns of balance sheet. I am not going to read out. So application of funds, fixed asset, and these are the current asset, liabilities. Schedule J, balance sheet. Schedule R, reconciliation of corpus, and Schedule J and balance sheet. These are the reconciliation is also the responsibility cast upon to the particularly auditor. Please make sure the 80G2B is very new section that you have to specifically find out the amount fall under particular this section, because corpus governed by 3 section now. Political party, I am not going into the details. Electoral trust, I am not going to deal with at present. Voluntary contribution, you have to mention corpus donation, grant received from government, grant received from companies, CSR, other donations, specifically grants and everything. You have to mention the in column of the contribution, voluntary contribution. Now that talks about aggregate income here. This is the receipt from the main object, incidental object, rent, commission, dividend income, interest income. You have to mention in Schedule AI. Correct? This all schedule populated by the software by automatically the information given in earlier years. See, this is very important. The application towards the expenditure to the trust. You have to be specified with the revenue or capital. So 2 categories, revenue and capital, you have to mention separately in each: medical, relief, relief to poor, education, and yoga and everything. Revenue and capital both that this covered. This house property, I am not going to deal with. This may be a rental income of the premises given by the trust to the to some tenant. Then you have to mention with these details of the property, the co-owners details, and the amount of which rental income and local authorities tax. We are aware about the income from the head of the house property. This again income from the head of the capital gain that I'm not going into the detail. We are very much aware about the things. However, the difference of the levy of capital gain in this section and section 11, that's something different. Section schedules VDA, that's a virtual digital asset, very important section of schedule under 115 BBH. Please make sure the date of acquisitions and date of transfer, virtual digital asset you have to specifically deal with. Schedule OS, income from other sources, I am not going to take. We are very much aware about the nature and source of income. Then 35 research, schedule CY, current year losses. I am not going to. We are about to know the losses schedule. Business trust and investment, business trust that I am not going to take. 115 TD, that's accredited income. Based on the accredited income, the levy of tax accordingly on this particular section. But the important point is 115 TD, the aggregate fair market value of the total asset of the specified person. Then the responsibility on the auditor then to find out the fair market value. Obviously, we rely on the information or the explanation given by the SSE, but the fair market value of the asset, not book value. If the trust in running the activity since inception on 1980, school ચલાવે છે અને કોઈ violation થયું તો એની accredited income ગણવા માટે valuation market value કરવાનું છે. મીન્સ મેં 10,000 માં જે સ્કૂલની જગ્યા લીધી હતી જેના 10 કરોડ રૂપિયા જે થઈ ગયા છે એ 10 કરોડ રૂપિયા મારે અહીંયા બતાવવાના છે for the levy of tax under the accredited income. So fair market value is very important, and just please check it out how they have derived the fair market value. Certain institution BBI that as I told you, contravention, and this income outside India I am not taking out. Unlisted company shareholding pattern, this information, statement of income for the period. These all schedules, most schedules are not applicable or not relevant. Computation of tax liability based on the all the heads of income and the 115 TD and 115 BBI, it will be part of the calculation. Refund will be directly credited into bank account, if any, that you have to mention here. The bank account details. Bank account details. Do you have a bank account in India? Then you have to mention in particularly this format. Do not mention the bank details of the dormant accounts. Do you have at any activity at any point of time here, particularly the clause applicable only in case of a resident? And these are the verification of ITR-7. Thank you for the opportunity and wonderful lungs activity given me to on the particular burning issue of 12AB registration, then form number 10B and then 10BB and then ITR-7. I tried my level best in the short period of a time to include all the burning issues, particularly in form number 10B and 10BB and ITR-7. I will circulate this with to all the participants for the benefit of such a knowledge and all the preparation. Now, I think so, Mr. President, over to the issue. I'm not going to read out 30, but you may find out and sort it out. Yes, Mr. Sridhar.
Before we start the question answer session, sir, આ લેક્ચર સાંભળીને બે વસ્તુ બહુ સારી લાગી કે અમે ટ્રસ્ટની પ્રેક્ટિસ નથી કરતા અને ચાલુ ના કરવી જોઈએ, કારણ કે આને કરવા માટે અમારે ફરીથી ડોક્ટરેટ બી કરવું પડશે અને સીએ બી ફરીથી કરવું પડશે. બીજું તમારા લેક્ચરથી એક મારા માટે બહુ સારી વસ્તુ છે કે તમારાથી બોલાઈ ગયું છે. સાહેબ, તમે રિલેટિવ તમારા કોઈ કમિટી મેમ્બરમાં નથી, પણ તમે પોતે કમિટી મેમ્બરમાં છો અને તમે 51 લાખનું ડોનેશન કન્ફર્મ કરો છો. તો આપણે જે બી ઓડિટર છે એને સ્પેશિયલી જઈને કેવી રીતે ડિસ્ક્લોઝ કરવાનું એ શીખવાડી દઈશું, પણ આપણે ડોનેશનનું કન્ફર્મેશન રાખીએ. And now we start the question answer session.
Please.
So we are having few questions. They are posted in the Zoom chat. I'm just going to read out. If covered, we will skip it. So there is a question from Arvind Devra. What is the due date for ITR-7 for charitable trust in case when there is no requirement of filing form 10B or 10BB?
That is 31st July that I already told.
Yes.
If it is required, then 31st October, otherwise then in 31st July.
Okay.
Yes, next.
Another question from Chetan. What is the form to be filled for accumulated fund utilization? What is the last date of financial year 2022-23?
Accumulation, you may accumulate in by way of a 9A and form number 10. That is on or before 30th September.
Okay. Another question is from Ronak Shah. Whether to file 10BB if only contribution is just rupees 1,75,000.
Irrespective of even 1 rupees for voluntary contributions, tamaru hoy, to pan tamaru you are required to file a form number 10B.
Okay, 10B. Yes. A question from Ravindra Patel. Form 9A is not shown on our IT portal. How can we file form 9A if it is not on the portal?
It is on the portal, but there was a change in schema. So in some last 8-10 દિવસ થી એનું utility ને કારણે populate નતું, but yes, it was in there on the web portal.
Okay. Debar Shobag, there is a question. I want to ask about form 10AB. A trust having 80G provisional registration from AY 22-23 to 26-27 on 28/5/2021. But trust want to do permanent registration from provisional, then form 10AB file for which assessment year? AY 22-23 or AY
22-23.
Okay. Another question is Ravindra Patel. Is bank fixed deposit considered application of fund in trust?
Yes, yes. This is a specified mode as per the section 11.5. So this may be considered as a specified mode of investment in accordance with the section 11.5.
Okay. A question from Mehul is 10BB is not applicable if total receipt doesn't exceed rupees 2.5 lakh before section 11.12.
Yes, correct. Before giving the effect of 2 lakh, before threshold limit thi upar tamari below income hoy, then in that case the form number 10B and BB did not require.
Yes. There is a question from Miraj. If trust is not having 80G registration, then also donation detail regarding form is required compulsory.
I didn't get it.
If trust is not having 80G registration, then also donation details regarding form is required compulsory. I think he is asking.
No. The form number 10BD does not applicable in that case.
Okay. Mahesh is having a question that form 10 filing can be eligible for exemption after due date 31st August.
See, there are so many landmark judgments of high courts and earlier of the tribunal saying that belated return be also considered just merely on ground of non-filing or the belated filing of the audit report cannot be withdrawn the entire sections of the 11 and 12. The intention of the legislator was not that to this is the completely administrative or the compliances procedure. There are so many judgments in line of that. But it does not mean that તમારે deliberately આ form મોડું ભરવું.
Okay. So I think this is the end of questions in the chat box. Any participant who want to ask a question, if someone is raising a hand, I will allow 1 or 2 questions. Sunil Shah is having has
Please.
No one has raised the hand. Okay. Ash. Okay. Sir, no hand raised.
Okay.
CA.
Mulchan Khatri is there.
Yes. I'm asking him to unmute.
One Mr. Miraj is also there.
Yes. Mulchan Khatri, you can speak.
गुड इवनिंग सर.
Good evening.
सर अभी जैसे ये डोनेशन आता है वो 5% और 1 लाख वाली जो कंडीशन है
जी.
उसको फॉल करना है इस बार या वो सीधा टैक्सेबल है?
नहीं इस बार भी करना है ना. 5% तो वैसे भी दिया गया है.
अच्छा.
अप टू 5% तो कोई दिक्कत नहीं है. अगर आप 5% से ज्यादा आगे बढ़ जाते हो तो फिर टैक्सेबिलिटी आएगी उसमें।
अच्छा, क्योंकि सॉफ्टवेयर वगैरह क्या है वो कहीं एप्लीकेबल करते नहीं है, पूरा टैक्सेबल ही कर रहे हैं जी।
इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट बोल रही है कि वी आर नॉट ऑथोराइज एनी सॉफ्टवेयर, जस्ट गो एंड यूज द यूटिलिटी एंड फाइल योर ITR.
Miraj Makhecha, I'm unmuting you. Yes, Miraj.
Hello. Yes, sir. Sir, in case of a trust having registration certificate in paid AC, existing trust who has granted registration in paid AC.
તમારો અવાજ બરાબર નથી આવતો.
Yes, Mr. Miraj, your voice is not clear.
Wait. આવે છે અવાજ?
Yes, now audible.
હા સર, એક ટ્રસ્ટ છે જેની પાસે 10 AC નું સર્ટિફિકેટ આવી ગયું છે. એક્ઝિસ્ટિંગ નવી મેથડ પ્રમાણે એપ્લાય કરીને નવું સર્ટિફિકેટ આવી ગયું છે જે 5 યર માટે છે. એવાય 22-23 થી એવાય 24-27 માટે. તો એ ફાઇનલ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન સર્ટિફિકેટ ગણાશે કે પ્રોવિઝનલ ગણશે?
ના ના, ફાઇનલ જ ગણવાનું છે. જે વ્યક્તિએ સિલેક્ટ ક્લોઝ 1 કર્યો છે એને 5 વર્ષનું મળ્યું છે એને ફાઇનલ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન જ ગણવાનું છે. એને પ્રોવિઝનલ માંથી ફાઇનલ માં કન્વર્ટ કરાવવાનું નથી.
ઓકે સર. તો સર જ્યારે આઈટીઆર ફાઇલ કરીએ, આપણે જ્યારે આઈટીઆર ફાઇલ કરીએ
જી
ત્યારે જે ડિટેલ્સ નાખવાની છે એમાં પ્રોવિઝનલ માં ડિટેલ્સ નાખવાની કે પછી નાખવાની જ નહીં?
એકચ્યુઅલી છે ને તમે સર્ક્યુલર નથી જોયો, એમાં એક સીબીડીટી એ ક્લેરિફિકેશન કર્યું છે કે ખોટી રીતે અમારાથી પ્રોવિઝનલ શબ્દ લખાયો છે. એ એકચ્યુઅલી છે ફાઇનલ રજિસ્ટ્રેશન છે અને એનો સુધારાનું એમનું પર્ટિક્યુલર સર્ક્યુલર્સ પણ આવેલો છે. એટલે તમે જસ્ટ એ ગો થ્રુ કરજો અને એ તમારે ફાઇનલ જ ગણવાનું છે. તમારે ડિટેલ તમારા ITR-7 માં એની જ નાખવાની છે.
We are taking last two questions. There is from Devar Shobal and Sunil Shah. Yes. Yes, Devar Shah.
Hello.
Yes, you can speak. Your mic is muted. Yes, please ask question.
सर मुझे ये जानना है एक्चुअली मुझे 80G का प्रोविजनल रजिस्ट्रेशन से फाइनल रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाना है. तो मैं जब फॉर्म 10AB फाइल करने के लिए जा रहा हूँ वहाँ पे असेसमेंट ईयर सिलेक्ट कर रहा हूँ जब 22-23, तब वहाँ पे 80G का कोई ऑप्शन ही नहीं दिखा रहा है.
एग्जैक्टली, क्योंकि आपने सर्कुलर नंबर 6 पढ़ा नहीं है ध्यान से. इसमें उन्होंने लिखा है कि 115 TD को जो अफेक्ट करता है उसके लिए हमने 12 AB वाले रजिस्ट्रेशन को 30 सितंबर की विंडो दी गई है. सी 80G इज नॉट एप्लीकेबल टू 115 TD. तो ये सर्कुलर नंबर 6 में क्लियर बताया गया है कि 115 TD ट्रस्टों को नहीं लगने की वजह से हम एक दोबारा अपॉर्चुनिटी दे रहे हैं 30/9 को करने के लिए. जस्ट वेट फॉर के 80G का रिन्यूअल के लिए अभी विंडो नहीं शुरू हुई है. डिपार्टमेंट को उसकी रिप्रेजेंटेशन की गई है. AGFTC और IT बार के प्रतिनिधियों ने भी वहां पे ये रिक्वेस्ट डाली गई है कि ये विंडो दोबारा शुरू की जाए. तो लेट्स होप फॉर द बेस्ट, वो अभी आएगा.
Okay, and this is a final question I'm taking from Sunil Shah. Sunil Shah, you can speak.
Hello,
Yes.
sir. In the balance sheet, the column number 6, there is a 2 questions. Investment. Hello.
Yes, please.
Yes, you are audible.
In section 11.5 and other. So in other, we have to put balancing balancing figure of balance sheet or only the
Particular which column that you are talking about?
in balance sheet.
The balance sheet ITR-7 या 10B?
7.
ITR.
ITR-7 in balance sheet application and source, and then last point number 6 from the above investment as per 11.5 and other.
Okay. So because why investment need to be segregated in two different way? Because whatever that you have accumulated under section 11.2, that need to be required investment in 11.5. There are other investment also with the trust, they need to separate zone other than 11.5.
No, but sir, 11, so we have to put balancing figure, or only suppose furniture is there, it is not an 11.5.
Obvious not 11.5.
So in other column or not?
So, yeah, you have to sum this rest of the amount. Otherwise, your balance sheet will not be tally.
Otherwise not tally. That is only.
Otherwise, exactly, yes. So
will
you
not-
have to segregate and separate the particular 11.5, and the rest block will remain in other investment.
So because they write an investment in other 11.5. So
Correct.
it's also include cash and everything.
Everything, yes, yes.
Other than cash, if the TDS receivable and everything, we have to put balancing
The
figure.
right side of the balance sheet that covered this part.
Okay, thank you.
Sir, there is a question in the chat box. Can we take it
Yes,
as a
please,
last
please.
question? Yes. So there is a question from Chetan Gajjar. Trustee has given details of scheme under section 50A. It has been approved by charity commissioner after 1 month. Then how to do 12A renewal registration?
See, the question is not proper. I think so. This person need to be connected with me.
Okay. Chetan bhai, can you raise the hand? We can take your question, if please.
કારણ કે 12AA લીધા 12AB લીધા પછી એવું
Yes.
થયું છે.
I am unmuting him. Yeah. Yes, Chetan Gajjar, go ahead.
હેલો.
હા ચેતન ભાઈ.
હા, એમના જે ટ્રસ્ટીઓ છે ને એમણે 50A ની એપ્લિકેશન કરી હતી અને ચેરિટી કમિશનરે 1 મહિના પછી એનું એપ્રુવલ આપ્યું. હવે આપણી જે ડ્યુ ડેટ છે 12A નું જે રિન્યુઅલ કરવાનું છે એના માટે હવે સમય રહ્યો નથી, તો એ હવે કેવી રીતે કરવાનું એ ક્વેશ્ચન છે.
એટલે તમે પહેલા 12AB લીધું છે કે નથી લીધું?
પહેલા 12AB લીધું હતું પણ પછી 50A ની એપ્લિકેશન કરેલી છે રિન્યુઅલ માટે. આખું સ્ટ્રક્ચર ચેન્જ થઈ ગયું ને ટ્રસ્ટી 50A ની
તમારો
એપ્લિકેશન.
ઓર્ડર આવી ગયો ચેરિટી કમિશનર માંથી?
હા, એ 1 મંથ પછી આપ્યો, લેટર મળ્યો અમને.
તો તમારી ડેટ ઓફ રિસીટ થી જોવાનું.
અચ્છા, ઓકે.
તમારી ડેટ ઓફ રિસીટ થી 30 ડેઝ ગણવાના છે.
ઓકે, ફાઇન. ઓકે.
ઓકે. એવા તો ઓર્ડર 6 મહિના સુધી કોર્ટમાં ના મળે તો આપણું લેપ્સેશન થઈ જાય. એટલે ફ્રોમ ધી ડેટ ઓફ રિસીટ you have to upload the same અને એ within 30 days માં હોવું જોઈએ.
ઓકે, ઓકે, થેન્ક યુ.
President sir, over to you.
બીજા કોઈના સવાલ હોય અને હજુ એમને કોઈ?
There is one raised hand, sir.
Please, please.
Yes. Hina Shah, I'm unmuting you. Yes, go ahead. You can talk. Hina Shah. Okay. Over to President, sir.
Thank you so much, Dhruven bhai. No amount of words will justify the amounts of efforts you have put in this webinar. As a token of gratitude, we would like to digitally first present you a certificate of honor. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.
And I would like to ask Secretary of AGFTC and Vice President of IT Bar, Sridhar Shah, to propose the vote of thanks for today's webinar.
Thank you, Ashish. Actually, the charitable trust is covered into just 4 sections, but it is not lesser than an act itself. Like it should be covered under a separate chapter, and everyone would agree to that. The way Dhruven sir has dissected the parts of 10B, 10BB and ITR-7 in such a short time. So I think it's a matter of entire day classroom study. But sir, you have put an extraordinary efforts into dissecting all these things, and you are PhD into the same subject, so we can understand with what authority and what confidence you can answer all the questions that participants ask. So sir, thank you for such a wonderful session on webinar. It was a wonderful webinar where we almost consumed our entire Zoom capacity, and even on YouTube, there were more than 90 or 100 participants who were watching on YouTube. So it was an extraordinary webinar. And thank you, sir, for your time and support.
Thank you.
On behalf of both the association, I wish to thank you.
Thank you. Thank you again.
Okay. With this, we are ending the webinar.